I have often said that the lure of flying is the lure of beauty. Amelia Earhart.
Flight. The eagle's view. Just over a century ago, this perspective escaped us. Luckily, times have changed. Seen from above, Idaho's diverse landscapes seem even more expansive. Wilderness areas that could take weeks to walk. Desert canyons that could swallow you whole. On the ground, it would take a lifetime to explore Idaho's wild places. Soar with us over some of the West's most spectacular scenery as we experience Idaho from above.
The mountains are calling, and I must go. John Muir.
Mountain country. It tugs at the soul. It makes us feel small, but more importantly, it makes us feel. Idaho's mountains have beckoned man for millennia. Since the earliest Native Americans walked these slopes, fur trappers followed and found fortune, survival, and indescribable beauty. Fortunately, many of these ranges will stay this way. Today, Idaho contains more contiguous wilderness than any state outside of Alaska. If mountains are Earth's monuments, then the Sawtooths are Idaho's own memorial to all things big and beautiful and wild.
In a country where nature has been so lavish, to set aside a few rivers in their natural state should be considered an obligation. Frank Church.
The Salmon River. Her waters are the blood in Idaho's veins. Set inside the Frank Church River of No Return wilderness area, the salmon runs wild and free. The Nez Perce consider Salmon River country sacred for its sustenance. Steelhead and Chinook salmon make a 900-mile journey from the ocean to spawn in these waters, completing a circle of life thousands of years old.
Wilderness is not a luxury, but a necessity of the human spirit. Edward Abbey.
Hidden away from major highways, the White Clouds may be the most spectacular mountain range most Americans have never known. Recently declared a wilderness area, the White Clouds are now permanently protected to retain views like these.
Heaven is under our feet as well as over our heads. Henry David Thoreau.
For residents of Boise, the state's largest city, a slice of heaven lies just 2 hours to the north. Here, paved streets give way to forested slopes, an amphitheater of alpine peaks surround a pair of mountain lakes. The larger Payette Lake offers refreshing waters to soothe the spirit. South of Payette Lake, Cascade Reservoir adds to the attraction of this area. It is one of the largest bodies of water in Idaho, ringed by beachfront campgrounds and an endless supply of breathtaking views.
Of all the paths you take in life, make sure a few of them are dirt. John Muir.
Southern Idaho is desert country, big country. Wide open vistas over a sea of sagebrush, rocky crags, and juniper bush standing silent watch. Idaho's deserts offer critical habitat for dozens of species of wildlife. Pronghorn may be the fastest land mammal in the Western Hemisphere, but a simple fence will stop them short. For some, it may be difficult to see beauty in the desert. But look a little deeper, and you'll find rich landscapes that transcend time. The Bruneau River cuts through 1,200 feet of volcanic rock to form a giant, secret canyon on a sagebrush plain.
Those who find beauty in all of nature will find themselves at one with the secrets of life itself. L. Wolfe Gilbert.
The Snake River Canyon is the epitome of a Western landscape, shaped by the Snake River and carved over millennia Its canyon walls are home to one of the largest populations in the world of birds of prey. The canyon below Swan Falls Dam is littered with boulders the size of houses, tossed like pebbles during the Great Bonneville Flood. As the world around us marches forward, this is a place where time stands still. Across southern Idaho, her deserts take many shapes. At Bruneau's sand dunes, serpentine formations ripple in the wind, creating the tallest single-structure sand dune in North America. At Craters of the Moon, an eerie volcanic landscape of fissures, lava tubes, and islands of cinder cones serve as a blackened reminder of the power of nature. At City of Rocks, towering granite spires stand like sentinels over a silent city. A fascinating assortment of shapes that will continue to erode into ever more interesting faces. Farther upstream, on the Snake River, Idaho's deserts magically transform into some of the state's most productive farmland. Water from the mighty Snake feeds crops and communities across southern Idaho. The Snake River amazes yet again at Shoshone Falls, where a cascading curtain of water drops more than 200 feet to form one of the West's largest natural waterfalls. A sparkling reminder that there's life, even in the midst of an Idaho desert.
Eventually, all things merge into one, and a river runs through it. Norman McLean.
Eastern Idaho is river country, meandering ribbons that wind through vibrant valleys of greens and golds. This is the stuff of daydreams, especially for those who dream of days on the river with a fly rod in hand. The South Fork of the Snake may be one of the most productive trout streams on the continent, with over 5,000 fish per mile. The South Fork Canyon is a hidden paradise. Long stretches flow through a roadless wilderness, accessible only by boat. The Henry's Fork of the Snake River is world famous for its dry fly fishing. The river flows through gentle, rolling ranches and timber-covered canyons. One of the Henry's Fork's greatest performances is found at Upper Mesa Falls. Here, the river drops 10 stories to create one of the Northwest's most dazzling waterfalls. The last thing you'd expect to find in river country is a sprawling sand dune. But here, on the edge of eastern Idaho, lies the St. Anthony Sand Dunes, formed at the end of the last ice age, when climate change dried out a prehistoric lake to expose 11,000 acres of soft quartz sand. A playground for off-road enthusiasts. The most imposing geographic feature of eastern Idaho is the Teton Mountains. The range sits in Wyoming, but the view from the Idaho side is equally spectacular. Idaho's Teton Valley holds rich, high-elevation farmlands surrounded by lush, forested slopes. Less than 10 million years old, the Tetons are the youngest mountain range in the Rockies, with a view that inspires a sense of wonder.
Water is the driving force of all nature. Leonardo da Vinci.
North Idaho is a land of lakes, of water and woods. Set in a separate time zone than the rest of the state, North Idaho seems a land apart. Many who enjoy this country would like to keep it that way.
In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. John Muir.
The Selkirk Mountains straddle North Idaho's panhandle. The massive range, part of the Northern Rockies, extends for 200 miles and reaches into Canada. In winter and spring, prevailing winds push maritime air all the way from the Pacific Ocean. The moisture cascades like waterfalls. Runoff from the Selkirks feeds northern Idaho's big lakes. Sparkling jewels, like sapphires, set in lush forests of Douglas fir, spruce, and pine. Lake Pend Oreille is the deepest. Her shores a haven for artists, surrounded by a colorful canvas of daily inspiration. Lake Coeur d'Alene is the most populated, a vacation destination for generations. More than 100 smaller lakes dot the landscapes of North Idaho, offering places to reset, rejoice, and be reminded of the serenity of nature.
There are dark shadows on the earth, but its lights are stronger in the contrast. Charles Dickens.
North central Idaho is contrast country. Rich farmland and desolate desert. Steep mountains and deep canyons. It is a landscape that reinvents itself from 1 mile to the next. A massive footprint of geologic history. Gaping Hell's Canyon is a 10-mile-wide gorge. The canyon was carved by the waters of the Snake River, which flows more than a mile below the canyon rim. It is the deepest river gorge in North America. The Palouse is rolling farmland, a patchwork of perfectly cultivated fields, picturesque farmhouses sit snugly among the hills, surrounded by some of the most productive wheatland in the nation. On the Idaho-Montana border, the landscape rises up to form the heavily glaciated, rugged peaks of the Selway-Bitterroot Wilderness area. Here, man is a visitor, and the cycles of nature go on undisturbed. These are some of the last remnants of America's wild landscapes that once stretched coast to coast.
You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Joni Mitchell.
Idaho is blessed with space, room to breathe, room to think. But we must never take it for granted. Advocates for Idaho's wild places have helped protect landscapes that benefit us all. We need these undisturbed places, spaces that inspire us, nourish us, and keep us whole. Protecting Idaho's special places is part of our heritage and will become our legacy if we let it. Here's to keeping Idaho wild.